This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
Marianne answers the door when Connell rings the bell. She's still wearing her school uniform, but she's taken off the sweater, so it's just the blouse and skirt, and she has no shoes on, only tights. "Oh, hey," he says. "Come on in." She turns and walks down the hall. He follows her, closing the door behind him. Down a few steps in the kitchen, his mother Lorraine is peeling off a pair of rubber gloves. Marianne hops onto the countertop and picks up an open jar of chocolate spread in which she has left a teaspoon. "Marianne was telling me you got your mock results today," Lorraine says.
"We got English back,"
he says.
"They come back separately. Do you want to head on?"
Lorraine folds the rubber gloves up neatly and replaces them below the sink. Then she starts unclipping her hair. To Connell, this seems like something she could accomplish in the car. "And I hear you did very well," she says. "He was top of the class," says Marianne.
"Right,"
Connell says.
"Marianne did pretty good too. Can we go?"
Lorraine pauses in the untying of her apron.
"I didn't realize we were in a rush,"
she says. He puts his hands in his pockets and suppresses an irritable sigh, but suppresses it with an audible intake of breath so that it still sounds like a sigh. "I just have to pop up and take a load out of the dryer," says Lorraine, "and then we'll be off, okay?" He says nothing, merely hanging his head while Lorraine leaves the room. "Do you want some of this?" Marianne says. She's holding out the jar of chocolate spread. He presses his hands down slightly further into his pockets, as if trying to store his entire body in his pockets all at once.
"No, thanks,"
he says. "Did you get your French results today?"
"Yesterday."
He puts his back against the fridge and watches her lick the spoon. In school, he and Marianne affect not to know each other. People know that Marianne lives in the white mansion with the driveway and that Connell's mother is a cleaner, but no one knows of the special relationship between these facts.
"I got an A1, he says. "What you get in German?"
"An A1, she says. "Are you bragging?"
"You're going to get 600, are you?"
She shrugs. "You probably will," she says.
"Well, you're smarter than me."
"Don't feel bad. I'm smarter than everyone." Marianne is grinning now. She exercises an open contempt for people in school. She has no friends and spends her lunchtimes alone reading novels. A lot of people really hate her. Her father died when she was 13, and Connell has heard she has a mental illness now or something. It's true, she is the smartest person in school. He dreads being left alone with her like this, but he also finds himself fantasizing about the things he could say to impress her.
"You're not top of the class in English,"
he points out. She licks her teeth, unconcerned. "Maybe you should give me grinds, Connell," she says. He feels his ears get hot. She's probably just being glib and not suggestive, but if she is being suggestive, it's only to degrade him by association, since she is considered an object of disgust. She wears ugly, thick-soled flat shoes and doesn't put makeup on her face. People have said she doesn't shave her legs or anything. Connell once heard that she spilled chocolate ice cream on herself in the school lunchroom, and then went into the girls' bathrooms and took off her blouse to wash it in the sink. That's a popular story about her. Everyone has heard it. If she wanted, she could make a big show of saying hello to Connell in school. "See you this afternoon," she could say in front of everyone. Undoubtedly, it would put him in an awkward position, which is the kind of thing she usually seems to enjoy. But she has never done it. "What were you talking to Miss Neary about today?" says Marianne.
"Oh, nothing. I don't know. Exams."
Marianne twists the spoon around inside the jar. "Does she fancy you or something?" Marianne says. Connell watches her moving the spoon. His ears still feel very hot.
"Why'd you say that?"
he says. "God, you're not having an affair with her, are you?"
"Obviously not. Do you think it's funny to joke about that?"
"Sorry," says Marianne. She has a focused expression, like she's looking through his eyes into the back of his head. "You're right, it's not funny," she says. I'm sorry. He nods, looks around the room for a bit, digs the toe of his shoe into a groove between the tiles.
Sometimes I feel like she does act kind of weird around me, he says, but I wouldn't say that to people or anything.
Even in class I think she's very flirtatious towards you.
Do you really think that?
Marianne nods. He rubs at his neck. Miss Neary teaches economics. His supposed feelings for her are widely discussed in school. Some people are even saying that he tried to add her on Facebook, which he didn't and would never do. Actually, he doesn't do or say anything to her. He just sits there quietly while she does and says things to him. She keeps him back after class sometimes to talk about his life direction, and once she actually touched the knot of his school tie. He can't tell people about the way she acts because they'll think he's trying to brag about it. In class, he feels too embarrassed and annoyed to concentrate on the lesson. He just sits there staring at the textbook until the bar graphs start to blur.